Hello, everyone. This is Kirsten Thompson, your host of More Than Magic. I am here in the studio with a very special guest today. But before we begin, I would like to do something that I'm trying to get better at. So I'm going to ask all of you to please just take a moment to like this video and share it. We have a really great show in store for you. Let me get this out. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we have in the studio Courtney Johnson. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. We started off this morning. If you don't mind, I'd like to share. You sent me a message.
Yes.
And you were like, is it okay if I bring my daughter with me? And I was like, absolutely. This is a Black-owned studio. This is a space where we have a lot of our Black and brown community, and we want it to feel like family, but it also ties in with you being a creative person and being a mother and balancing it all, which is what this show is going to be about, how you're able to do that. But before we do that, your name, Courtney, I want to ask you about the meaning of it and if there's like a family story or an anecdote or something you'd like to share about your name.
Okay, so actually a very funny story. Before I share the meaning, I want to talk to you about the love-hate relationship I have with my name.
Ooh, okay.
When I was young, so I have two, well, actually I have like 3 little sisters and 2 younger brothers. But my blood siblings, Alyssa and Bethany, those were my sisters. My name is Courtney, Alyssa, and then Bethany. I felt like Alyssa and Bethany had like the most beautiful, most feminine names. And then I was like, I'm the first, I'm the eldest. And I was like, why was
Like,
I
that's
Courtney?
my birthright. I wanted to.
Right. So that was my first qualm. But then when I was like in the 2nd grade, I met a young boy whose name was Courtney. And that really, oh my gosh, every diary, if you go back to my little elementary school diaries, if I'm writing stories about faraway fairy tale lands and princesses, there was always Alyssa, there was Bethany, and then there was their older sister, Crystal. I would change my name in stories, but my sisters were in these stories and they would have their names because I did not like my name. I grew into it, of course, and now, my name is like it is me. It is
Absolutely.
who I am, and I take pride in that now. So when you asked me what my name means, I was like, let me look this up because I started hearing like a lot of different variations. The first one I heard did not make me feel super great. It was short nose. That is what Courtney means.
Interesting. Okay.
But then, and of course, I immediately went to my mom and I was like, "What have you done?"
Right. Well, that's better than a long nose, right?
You know what? You know what? Yes. So then, so my sisters are in the group chat with my mom, and my sister was like, "But wait, there's also in the King's Court." And there's also surrounded by God's love. And she was like, so there's like beauty in your name. And then Renee, your middle name, we found out it means reborn.
Yes.
So like they're like, you see there are all these variations. You don't have to be just one thing.
Right.
You can be all of these things.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And that speaks to who you are because you are a creative individual. So you just said something and I'm like, wait a minute. So in elementary school, you were writing creative stories and fairy tales. That's not like a usual, it's not like a very common occurrence for someone in elementary to be writing. So is that where you kind of felt like you got your creative spark? Like when you were little, did you feel like I have to make things? I have to...
So yes, and it's funny. It's funny. I have like so many memories, and I didn't even think anything of it until very recently with the start of my production company. But when I was young, I remember like wanting me and my sisters to start a band. I wanted to be the singer, and I was like, Alyssa, okay, you're gonna learn how to play the guitar. Bethany, you're gonna be on the drums. Let's do this. Yeah. And I would put on shows for my parents where Whitney Houston's album. Oh my gosh.
The greatest to ever do it.
I can't remember which album it is, but it's like it has like a black, the cover's black, and she's wearing this black dress and she has black boots on. I don't know. But I literally like storyboarded an entire like mini production. I was in elementary school, and I was like, okay, so you know, it's not right, but it's okay.
Oh,
That
yeah.
song. So I was like, okay, so this is what's gonna happen. Bethany, you're gonna be the man who cheated on Whitney, and I'm gonna be Whitney. And so like I would do all these things, and I never thought anything of it.
Yeah.
And I acted growing up, like literally been acting since I was 4. And I was just like, oh, like recently I was like, this is something I've literally been doing all of my life, and I'm only just now here like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna make what I want.
But I'm glad you're sharing this with us, because there have been so many studies that have shown or demonstrated that who we are, like as people, like who we are naturally, typically our personalities and our interests are solidified by age 7. So it's very important to like pay attention to our inner child, which as creatives, I think the inner child is what's speaking,
Yes.
like trying to get out when, we're doing these endeavors, in our adulthood. So let's start with, I know that you are a dancer. When I met you at the San Antonio Fashion Awards, I remember you sharing that with me. So what is your main discipline, or what type of dance do you do?
So my specialty is ballroom.
Okay.
I started off dancing ballroom at CNC Ballroom Dance, and under the tutelage of David and Jenny, they were like, I started off as a student, and they were like, you learn really fast, and we want you to teach. And I was like, well, okay,
Wow.
I'll do that. So I started teaching, and I loved it, and now I'm on my own. I teach wedding couples primarily, but I also teach anybody who wants to learn how to dance socially primarily.
Right. And when you say ballroom, because some people may not even actually know what that entails, like what styles fall under the umbrella of ballroom?
Ooh, okay, so let's buckle up. So we're talking American smooth styles, specifically waltz, tango, foxtrot. I do teach a bit of Viennese waltz, although I don't get a whole lot of people requesting that one. And then on the American rhythm style, I teach cha-cha, rumba, East Coast swing. I dabble in West Coast swing. That's actually my favorite dance, like my favorite style of dance, but I don't actually teach it.
Right, okay.
And so those are, and then of course, like on the social side of it, and you can still, of course, compete in this at ballroom dance competitions.
Right.
There's also salsa, bachata, merengue, cumbia.
That's where my heart is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Usually whenever if I'm having socials, I'll like flip flop between Thirsty Horse and Arjon's, but Arjon's is like where my heart is. I'm like,
I'm surprised I've never seen you there. We have to talk after the show.
yes.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because a lot of people, when they think of dance, they think more of like, I don't know. When they see our face, they think, oh, she must be a hip hop dancer.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
let's talk about that. What has your
my
experience
gosh.
been walking
Okay.
through the world as yourself, teaching these more formalized, traditional dances?
So with ballrooms specifically, it was really interesting walking in. I remember walking into my first ballroom dance competition and looking around and being like, it's just me and my dad. Okay.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, because and my dad was with me, of course, as support, but he was also a photographer. Like, so he would take the pictures. Anyway, so it was, there wasn't a whole lot of us,
Right.
learning ballroom dancing. So it was very interesting whenever I would speak to people about it and say, yes, I'm a dancer.
Yeah.
Either I would get like,
Right.
yes, that'd be the first one. They'd be like, oh, so what club you doing? No, not no.
Keep your dollar bills.
Yes, that would be the first one.
Right.
But even as a ballroom dance instructor, I was using Thumbtack for a while to find clients, and you specify, you put your specialties on that site, and I'll still have people reaching out to me like for hip hop dancing or for twerking, and I'm just like, that's not what I do. That's not my style. And I love and respect it, of course.
Of
Like, you know,
course.
it's an art.
Absolutely. I agree.
But like,
It's not what you do.
it's not what I do.
Yeah.
But and I was like, why does this keep coming up? And even Thumbtack, the actual site itself,
Right.
like has me listed under the realm of a hip hop dance instructor. And I'm like, that's really interesting that it says that, because it's nowhere on my profile.
Yeah.
So that's been a very interesting experience.
Yeah, there's a lot to dissect there and break down, but that's that's a different show. That's like a whole show topic in itself. But I wanted to you to talk about, you know, the styles of dance that you dance and teach, because I am sure that there are little girls and boys somewhere that are seeing these things on TV and thinking like, ooh, I want to do that. But then maybe their experience is someone trying to pigeonhole them and steer them, well, you're more suited for this.
Yes.
Or you should try this instead. And we don't have to settle. We can do all the things and all the things well.
We are limitless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we can do anything that our hearts, where we feel led to create, we can do that.
Absolutely. And that's what you're doing, because, okay, so you not only are a dancer and instructor, but you are in theater.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're doing, but it's amazing though. It's wonderful, because I think most creative people want to get all of that creative energy out, and you're actually doing it. Yeah. So how did you get into theater? Was it a byproduct of being a dancer, or?
So that is a story that actually dates back to before my dancing. So my very first time acting, my first acting experience was actually when I was 4 years old. I was in a Walmart commercial. Aww. And my grandfather, my papi, he I thought that I was just going with him for ice cream, but he worked at Walmart at the time, and they had like this Grandparents' Day special. And he was like, here, you're just gonna eat this ice cream. Don't mind those people over there. Literally the cameraman.
Right.
And I was like, okay. He was like, what kind of ice cream do you want? I was like, I want yellow ice cream. I wanted vanilla. He got me banana. And so I ate it, and I was like, I do not want this. And I tried to give it to him. Apparently that was a perfect shot though, because it looked like I was sharing an ice cream cone with my grandfather. But that was like my first acting experience. So acting I've been doing for far longer than any creative outlet, dancing or otherwise. Okay. This year is actually the first year that I acted since 2012 though. I took quite a long hiatus from it. Right. So I know that was, wow, I went all the way around with that.
No, that's okay. Can we talk about, because I think a lot of I know that a lot of creative people suffer from burnout because there's like such a high frequency of output. Did you experience that with your acting, or was your hiatus due to something else?
So in 2012, wow. I'm thinking back and I'm like, wow, my life's been crazy.
No, it's okay. But it's real. Like that real life is crazy, y'all. Yeah. Real life is crazy.
Yes. So I would say more so just circumstances and me feeling like I didn't really have the time for it. So in 2012, that's when I graduated from high school. I got accepted into AMDA. It's a school in Hollywood.
You can share because I know, but everyone else may not.
Oh my God, I'm trying to remember the actual name. America's Musical and Dramatics Arts Academy or something like that. Yeah. And I was going to go to the one in Hollywood. I was so excited for acting specifically. I auditioned, I made it, I felt so good, and then I looked at the tuition and the cost of living in California, and I was just like, oh, so this is it, this is the end, this is where this is done for me. I ended up settling for Texas State. I say settling because it was a very important part of my life. If I hadn't gone to Texas State, Layla would not be here. So like that's a really important part of my life. Right. And when I went to Texas State and I was there as a theater major, I was like, wow, I really miss dancing because I'd been dancing in high school. I was on my high school dance team. And I was like, I feel like I really need to dance. So like I just completely switched gears and I was like, okay, it's going to be dance focused like from now on. And I was like, I don't really have time to act anymore. So, I'm just going to focus on working on this craft. Yeah. And then I it wasn't until very recently, like within the past couple of years, that I was like, I really don't have to limit myself as far as what I want to do or how I want to use my gifts.
Speak on it.
So, so, so yeah, that's as far as like my acting experience goes. That's what brought about the hiatus, was just feeling like I couldn't really focus on both. I didn't really have the time. Finances, like, one thing
But
or
that's
another.
a real thing, though.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful to know that even though you weren't able to, because of finances, do Hollywood, do California, you didn't say, well, there's the end of my dream, and what you may have perceived as settling, you were still going after your dream, just at a different level. I think it's important that people understand you don't have to just throw your dreams away.
Yeah, there's not just one way. Like that's been the biggest lesson I think I've learned.
Yeah.
And especially within these past couple of years, from 2019 till now, it's been rocky. But like I remember listening to this sermon where this pastor, he was preaching about using everything you have, like every gift that you've been given, and pouring all of yourself into your life and watching how God multiplies that for you. And when I heard it, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I'm gonna just do it all. And then literally, since I made that decision, as soon as I had that mental switch, things have just been opening up, like literally left and right, like without stopping. So, wow, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. No, you did. Even if you don't answer it like in a direct manner, it doesn't matter, because this is all like you. It's coming from you. And I actually appreciate that answer, because I know that a lot of times creative people are made to feel like creativity and these processes that, we go through, or the different paths we may take, are kind of frivolous. And I'm curious if that's something you've ever encountered. I don't want to say with family, but like friends or just people in your peer circles, or, anyone, because sometimes people will try to dissuade you from your dreams.
Yeah.
Have you encountered that at all?
Yeah. In a way, yeah. The people who are around me, they love me, and I know that they want what is best for me. They want me to live a life of success and, security. And I've heard the starving artist speech. I've heard it, and I was like, okay, so I get that.
Right.
However, there was something in me that just did not want to let go, So even whenever those things were being said, there was always still something inside of me that was like, I feel like I can make it work, and I'm going to try. And it might still be a struggle. It will still be a struggle. It's a struggle. Yeah. But I am somehow able to still bring these things to life against all odds. And so it reminds me that it's not frivolous. And as long as I can make a positive impact on my community, and as long as I can set a great example and take care of my babies, then there is nothing that I'm doing that is frivolous or for nothing.
Absolutely. Good for you, because I know that it can be disheartening or discouraging when you're hearing these messages, but it's very important to just remember who you are. And Maya Angelou, one of my favorite people to ever walk this earth, would say that creativity is something that you can never use up. The more you use it, the more you have.
Yes.
And that is such a deep and profound, it's a simple statement, but it's really deep and profound.
Yes.
Like, you have to use those gifts.
Yes.
If not, they kind of like dry up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is literally like a wellspring. And I love that about creating. It's one of my, there is literally in everything you do. I'll have, you can't, as soon as you stop, especially as a creative, I don't know if you've experienced this, but this has just been how I've lived. There was a point in time, actually, right after I had Layla, I wasn't dancing. I wasn't teaching. I was just working. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oops.
That was probably, those were the hardest like 6 months that I've ever experienced. And I was just like, oh my God, like it's getting worse. Like I'm spiraling. I can feel it and I don't know what is going on. And I went out and danced like once. And I was like, I feel myself again. I feel myself again. I feel myself again, but I feel myself again.
Absolutely.
And they're the same words, very different statements.
Absolutely.
But they're so important. And I was like, I need to start teaching again. And once I'm teaching again, I need to make sure that I'm dancing again.
Yes.
Then I was like, I want to go back to school again. Wait, I want to try my hand at modeling for real this time. Like I want to just, and it just didn't stop.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, I would love to talk to you about modeling because we were having a conversation before the show and we were discussing like our, petite statures. And I was saying like, I feel like I'm 5'10" in my head, but I'm not. I'm only 5'6". So in the modeling industry, you're considered a petite model.
I am something.
Yeah. And so, but I want to talk to you about that too, because what I'm sensing from you is that, you just make up your mind to do things and you just do it. Yeah. So, I met you at the Fashion Awards because of your modeling. I'm sure that's how you kind of, or maybe not. You can correct me if that's wrong.
So technically, yes. I wanted to go with my friend Terry. Well, really it was like a group of us. And we were like, okay, guys, we're just going to go to the Texas Fashion Awards because we want to experience it.
Right.
And we were all in the modeling community. So, and I won't say like, I'll say we're fairly new to the modeling community. So we saw it as a really great time to network. As well, when you're not getting crippling anxiety by being surrounded by a crowd.
It's a lot to process.
It is a lot. It's funny. My Terry, my friend, he was just working the crowd, and the Tea Gooch. Everybody, like a whole lot of people, have gotten to know him, and so he'll go around from person to person, and I was just in the back, like.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we were there because we wanted to see what it was like. We wanted to really get that experience.
Right. And so since then, have you, well, let me skip what I was going to ask you and go straight to it. You are in the middle of production or pre-production and planning for an event.
Yes.
So how do you go from, okay, I am a dancer and an instructor, and I also act, and now I think I want to stage my own productions. Where did you come up with that idea? How did you like wake up with it one day, or because that happens? Like
yeah, it does. So it was really funny. It didn't start off with us wanting to create a production company. I was helping somebody who was starting their own fashion show. So they were running a fashion show. And I was asking them questions that you would think more on the productive side, like, okay, like, are you going to pay the models? How are you going to pay the models? Do you have a way to track that? Like, do you have a way to track those numbers?
Right.
Are you going to have a casting call? When is that casting call going to be? Like, how many models do you need? Like, I was asking all of these questions, and I was talking to Terry about it, and he was like, okay, Kojo, dancer, model, producer. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I wouldn't call myself a producer.
Right.
And then I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, I thought about all the connections that I've made through this past year and all of the things that I've learned. And I was like, I bet we could run a fashion show, guys. We could actually produce a fashion show.
Absolutely.
And so at first it was just feels like summer, just the fashion show. But then we were like, we have questions and we need answers before we even start advertising this. So we started reaching out to some of the people that we knew in the community. We reached out to Tea House Stylings. We reached out to Miss Teresa Satterwhite with
Love
Let's
her.
Loft. Yeah. Oh my God, don't get me started.
Shout out to Teresa.
Yes. And we were just reaching out to so many people because these were all people that we connected with. And when we started asking the questions, they were like, "We support you. What do you need?" Like, and I was like,
it's very affirming.
yes, it is. And like, not hard at all. We looked, it was really strange. Like I said, as soon as I started like functioning in these gifts, in creating the things that I wanted, doors are just opening. Yes. So that was really an affirming moment. Right. So we were, when we were thinking about it, I was like, well, we can't really go to people and just say, "Hey, I'm Kojo the model and I want to do a fashion show." I was like, we need to be a collective. Like we need to have a name. So Terry actually came up with the name of the group, and Olivia, she's our chief marketing officer, and she is literally the reason why we're even here. Like, and I do not say that lightly. Right. Me and Terry both, we were talking about like,
she's the glue.
Oh yes. Yeah. We were like, should we even keep modeling? Like there was seriously a point, because we were like, we're not getting chosen for any shows in San Antonio.
I want to talk about that too.
And so like, we're like, nothing's really opening for us. Like maybe this isn't for us. And I was like, and I'm too short now. Like I'm 5'4", and people are usually looking for like tall models. Right. And Olivia was like, "Guys, don't give up." Like, yes. We've been working so hard this year. Like, we just have to keep pushing and things are going to work for us. And I was like, well, okay. Yeah. And here we are. Here we are now. So we have a great team. We decided to actually give ourselves a name, Awanemi Alua Productions, which means beautiful souls, or another translation is the Spirit of God. So, and really that is something that we... wow, I cannot remember if I was answering your question.
It's okay. It's okay. Whatever's coming out of you like needs to come out. So it's fine if it's fine.
So that's kind of how. Oh yes, that was your question. That is how I went from just sitting in the audience at TFA at the Texas Fashion Awards and watching all of this stuff happening around me to being like, I want to create, and I don't want to put myself in a box. I don't want to limit myself. I'm not going to tell myself I can't walk in a show. Like, absolutely. And also, if I'm producing a show, I'm definitely not going to be walking in the show.
No, it's impossible to do both.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how we came to this particular position.
I love it. I love it. One of my favorite people is Issa Rae, and I always allude to an interview that I saw with her, and she basically said that, sometimes as creative people, and especially as Black people, we feel like success is getting to a level that we see outside of our community. But the best thing to do, instead of trying to reach up and reach out, we need to work and network laterally, like within our own friend circles, with our own communities. And then we come together, we literally are all rising. Yep. And I love that you're epitomizing that. Like you just said, well, I'm not being chosen for these shows. I'm just going to make my own production company. And by doing that, you're able to you're able to bring in other models who most likely are also not getting chosen for shows. Can we talk about what your experience, and it doesn't have to be specific to San Antonio or Texas, but just what has your experience been as a petite model, as a Black woman with natural hair? What has your experience been like?
So it's very interesting that that you brought it up, especially with my hair, because I have an interesting relationship with my hair. Being a natural model, first of all, I try so hard not to do it, but like I can't help but compare, because my hair is, first off, 4C. I don't have the loose curls. My hair is, the shrinkage stays real all the time. All the time, it stays real. I understand. So like that's the first thing. I automatically, I look around, like if I'm standing in a room full of natural models, like I'm not going to be the one to stand out, because my hair isn't as big It's not as loose.
Defined.
It's not as defined.
Right,
Yes, all
right.
of these things. And so
Right.
it can be like, I really have to like put on the blinders and just be like, okay, just focus on you. Like, you're going to give your best here.
Yes.
So that is my experience with that side of things. I have casted for a couple of shows here in town, and I will how do I say? I don't know. It's just it felt like I was seeing a lot of the same people who were being accepted into the shows and into the fold. And you know, being a mom, I'm looking at my body. I'm looking there are things in places that were not.
Things shift.
Yes.
Things shift.
Things shift.
It's a fact of life. Yes.
Yes. Things have shifted. And I'm looking once again, like laterally, I'm like, okay, like literally I'm older. So I'm like 28 years old, and I'm looking at all of these really young models who aren't moms, and you know, and it seems to be that's the type that's desired, not just in San Antonio, but like universally.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it was really, like, it was, I got to a point where I was like, I'm probably not going to be trying to cast for as many shows anymore, because like, I don't think people really want me. I'm not as pretty as the other girls. My hair's not as big. Like, I'm not as curvy, but I'm also not as thin. Like, I'm just in this really weird space.
Right.
And I was like, you know, maybe I should just focus on like more of the editorial side of things. But even that is kind of like, okay, you can submit to like X amount of magazines, and only some magazines will accept you. And the magazines that accept you, it's good to be published. It's cool to be published, but I didn't really see
the benefits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, okay, this is cool. I give myself a little pat on the back.
And now what?
And now what?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do as a model. I'm going to switch things up a bit. And actually, I didn't think about this until I went to a workshop by Isa. Isa with Daydream Modeling. She's really cool. But I was like, okay, I want to continue to create the things I want to create. So I'm going to limit the amount of TFP work I do, just so that way I still have those creative outlets. Everything else after I reach that max, I'm only accepting paid opportunities after that. And submitting to magazines became less of a priority to me. So that's just kind of where I'm at with modeling right now.
Right.
That's where I've come to in my modeling journey. And that's not to say that I'm like gonna stop, because I love, oh my gosh, like the couture style posing, the editorials. Oh my gosh.
Well, and because you're a dancer, you have such an awareness of your body.
Yes.
And, you know, people think modeling is literally like you just stand around and look pretty and smile. But the best models are able to create shapes and silhouettes with their bodies, are aware of the space around them and how to inhabit it. I went through your page and I'm like, okay, I can see the dancer in the modeling. Like, it's very much reflected.
That's really funny. It's funny that you say that, because so the first time I started modeling, it was with a friend of mine. His name's John Robert Mack. And he invited me to shoot, and he was like, I just want to throw some light at you. Would you mind helping me out? And he was like, you're a dancer, so like I thought it would be cool. And I was like, okay. And literally I got in front of the camera and I was like,
and pose.
That was me. I was literally like, and he was like, okay, so give me tango. And I was like, oh, okay, tango. He was like, okay, now give me cha-cha. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, arm styling here. I got that. And he was like, do that from now on. And I was like, okay. So like, I would tell people, you know, when I would start shooting with them, I am the worst at standing still. Like, I'm not good at standing still because I'm a dancer. So I will do my best. And I found that the best shoots that I have are when I'm not trying to stand still. The ones where I'm trying to like really hold, like if I'm focused on just holding a particular pose, or if people pose me, that's the hardest thing to
Oh, they literally come and like move your arm.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But I like dancing has helped like so much. And really all of the arts in general are just kind of interconnected.
Absolutely.
So so I was able to really cross apply a lot of it into the modeling.
I'm so glad to hear you talk about like your experience with incorporating dance into your modeling, because one thing that I do see in the industry, and I'm not young anymore. I'm young at heart, but I'm not young anymore. And so I've been around for a while, and I've seen a lot. And it's good to see that there is more diversity, which is something that I've always championed, like in my personal work, and try to be in spaces where that's represented. But even the ability to go into a room and just show up authentically as yourself. You said earlier, like you realize that, you know, your hair is not as big, or, you know, you are not as tall, but you're still showing up. And I think that's really, really important. It's just, if you want to do something, even if you don't fit the profile or the type, like just show up.
Yes.
Because in the showing up, you're creating something.
The night that I met you, I felt so out of place. I was like, because, and I knew, I saw it like as a networking opportunity. You know, the Texas Fashion Awards, I saw being present as like an important thing if this was what I wanted to be a part of. But I was like, I remember just getting this feeling of I'm so far out of my league.
I'm going to tell you a secret though. A lot of people feel that way. And in our industries, which is very much about show, which is very much about the image and the visual referencing, you're not alone. A lot of people sort of struggle with just processing all of that energy of being in big crowds. And I mean, I have very good friends who are models. I have friends who are designers. I have friends who are stylists. And, you know, I've heard at least every one of those people say at one time, I just don't quite feel like I fit in, but it's okay. You just keep showing up.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, even, I don't know if you're familiar with like the terminology about like imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Is that something you've had to like process and work through? Because that's another thing. I think it uniquely affects our communities. Has that been something that you've been challenged with?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I could probably write a book.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
It is. And it's funny, even like even now, Olivia, she's working on our marketing campaigns for Awana Mealua, for AA2 Productions. And she was like, okay, Courtney, I'm going to post you as the president, because I mean, I'm the president. I'm the president of the company.
Say it with your chest.
Look, and that's the hardest part. I'm like, okay, I'm the president, and my voice will crack.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, like this is me. Like, okay, this is weird. Like, is it me though? Like, is it? And I'm like, no, I do be coming up with a lot of ideas. Like, and I have to really remember to give myself credit and honor what I have done. You know, I have to sit back and think about how hard I've worked to get to where I am now. I look around at the people who none of them are here. I know that I'm gesturing, but
no, it's okay. They're here in spirit. They're rooting you on from wherever.
Yes, yeah, they're here in spirit. I look around at the people who I've connected with, and you know, the people whose hearts have touched mine, and vice versa. And I'm like, okay, like this is real. I am real, and I am here. And so that's kind of like a really, it's a really good reminder to kind of shut it out, to tell the little feeling of, you know, are you good enough? Like, are you good enough are you this good of a dancer? Even with the last acting gig, okay. So I was in this play called We Sail On in Darkness. It was a beautiful project, and coming back from a hiatus, it was the most refreshing and collaborative space. Ruthie Bashir did her thing with the direction, the writing, all of it. It was just beautiful. Tanisha Payne with the movement, like it was just so good. But anyways, so even with that, when I auditioned, I remember preparing for the audition, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, even though, you know, I'm not the best dancer. I'm not the best actress. I'm literally so rusty. I went to the audition. I messed up my monologue. And I remember literally getting in my car and I was crying and I was like, oh my God. I don't even think I should have done this. I'm just, you know what? I'm just not going to think about it. Like, I don't think I'm good enough. Like, and then I got the email saying that I was like I got the role of like one of these women, one of these beautiful women in this almost literally 99% of the cast were women. Like this show was amazing. Yeah. But just being able to be a part of that, I was like, I am good enough. Like, and I was like, I must have forgotten, like somewhere along the way, I must have forgotten who I am. And I was singing on that stage in front of people, which I vowed I would never do again. Not since 2011. 2011 was the last time I sang in front of a stage. And I was like, I'm never going to do this again. Literally ran off the stage the last time I did it. But this time I stood and I sang and I danced and I did everything. And
goosebumps.
and I was like, I'm incredibly powerful.
Say it.
Like, yes. I am powerful and I can do this. And so climbing out of that valley of imposter syndrome was challenging. But as soon as I realized that, even if I start to like slip a little bit, I'll message Terry and Olivia and I'm like, guys, I'm doing this, right? Am I doing this?
Right.
And they're like, yes, Courtney, you're literally the bomb. You got this.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. I'm good. I got this.
Yeah.
So yes, the short answer to your question is yes. I've definitely battled with imposter syndrome, and I choose every day to remember my power. Like I choose every day to remember how hard I've been working, and I choose to respect myself, to know that I am not like anybody else. That my dancing style, even if I'm not the best dancer, I have my own aesthetic of cool. Like I have these things that are just Kojo, that are just Courtney. It's me. And once I like remind myself of that, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to take on the world. I can do this, and I can help other people do the same. Like I can encourage other people to remember who they are whenever they feel like they're not good enough, or maybe this just isn't for them. I'm like, do you love it? Is this your passion? Don't stop. Yeah. No matter what. It's going to be hard. You will have your moments, but you're good enough. You literally have something that nobody else has. You have something, whether it's the way that you move, the way that you speak, like there's always something there. I'm sorry. I went on a little.
No. There's listen, we are teen too much here at More Than Magic. Like, these are all things that people, and you know, anytime I ask a question, there's like a reason for it. And you said, I am powerful. And that, to me, encapsulated everything that you just described, from being a little girl and creating, to being a mother, to overcoming obstacles, to understanding that you don't have to be relegated to some corner or some box. You know, you are powerful. Yeah. And when you are a creative person, living in a world that is very much about, I mean, we live in a capitalistic society, so it's very much about how much money can you make, what, like, success looks like this, and this is what you must do to achieve success. But I think you and I both know creativity is what makes the world go round. Yes. I would not want to live in a world where it's like everyone goes to work in a box or a cubicle. Everyone is, you know, all respect to people who can do those types of jobs because it's necessary, but we need creative people to move society forward, to make people think, to make people feel.
Yeah.
So
creativity is important to humanity. Yeah. Like literally for our humanity. It's where our hearts are, you know, like art is in the heart.
Absolutely.
So I feel like for people who are, you know, who do have, you know, those jobs where they just, you know, they go to work, they're in their cubicle and they go home, they turn on the TV.
Right. And what brings TV to you?
Yeah.
There's
the artists.
Yes.
They're the writers. They're the directors.
Yes.
They are the producers, the people who are producing, working cameras. Like,
shout
all
out
of
to
these
Gylan
things.
and Jaden.
Thanks, guys. But this is all because of the creatives.
Absolutely.
You know, this is us. This is what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Making the world a better place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. I have a question about your journey as a mother while balancing all of this. Because we know it ain't easy. Sorry, I'm not using proper English and I don't care. No. Motherhood is not easy to begin with. But then you're choosing to be creative in something that's more, instead of something that's considered safe. Because there's probably other things you could do and you're like, well, this is safe and this is going to provide, security, and there's no question.
Right.
But you also are daily, like you said, I choose. I noticed you said that a lot. I choose to. You're choosing to take a chance on yourself as a mother. How does that feel?
So it's actually very important to me, but it took a while. It took a while for me to come to this because I was actually a leasing agent at an apartment, at a few different apartments, like for a while. And oh my God, it takes the soul out of me. It does. Shout out to leasing agents everywhere. Like, kudos to y'all. But it's hard
things
work.
that are necessary, but everyone is not cut out for that.
Yes, and I was one of those people. I was like, oh my God, like this stuff hurts my heart. Like, it really does. I could have done that though. Like, and I could have been promoted all the way through assistant manager to community manager to regional. And I could have done all these things, and that would have been not necessarily easy. But it would have been secure. It would have been like, okay, well, I for sure, I've got all of these things in line and this is good enough. I wanted Layla to see that she can do anything that she wants. Like, that was such a big deal to me. I remember when I decided to go back to school. This was actually back in 2019. Me and her dad, we had gone our separate ways. Right. And I was at a point where I was like, I don't know what to do. And I remember my manager, Farah at the time, she was like, she pulled me into the office because I'd been crying for like weeks and like I was just a hot mess. And she was like, Courtney, it's so clear that you don't want to be here. And I'm not saying this as your manager. I'm saying this as your friend. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to quit. Like, I was literally just crying. And I was like, I want to leave. And she was like, okay, well then figure it out. Like, make a plan. Right. And like, I love her for that. I really do. Because like, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I went, sorry.
No, it's funny.
I went on I put in my 2 weeks notice and I was like, great, now I don't have a job. Like, I'm not going to have a job. What am I going to do? Yeah. My dad suggested that I work at a restaurant, the Bakery Lorraine. So I started working at the Bakery Lorraine and I was like, okay, great. So I can work here. I want to go back to school. I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford that. We'll see what happens. Applied for San Antonio College and then like, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. School was covered. Wow. Like, literally, like, when you just take that leap of faith and you just do it, like, things will happen. And that's what I wanted. That's what I want her to see. That's what I want her little brother to see. Yes. Like, as long as you're moving towards what you want, you will be able to create the life that you want. And really, truly, I feel like all of the good that I am giving will come back, and my family's going to be good. Like, we're going to be more than taken care of. Yes. And that's just how I feel. It was a really, choosing to create is an important part of motherhood. Creating is motherhood. We are literally creators. The
ultimate.
We
creators.
We are
ultimate creators.
So like, you can't, like this is a part of it for me. Yeah. So that's.
No, kudos to you for making that choice, because I have heard personally, and I've been part of conversations where people have said, you can do anything. Why do you choose to do this? And it's true. A lot of us can do anything that we want, but it's so important to feed and nourish ourselves. And when you have children, you don't want your children to see you settling for like an unhappy life.
Yeah.
So, you can have the success, but what does that look like if you're not fulfilled? Children are very savvy.
Oh.
And they pick up on everything, whether it be facial expressions. I'll never forget. I've just shared this with you. So funny. When my son was little, he was in maybe 3rd grade. And this broke my heart, but this changed things for me. He said, "Mommy, why aren't you ever happy to see me?" And I was like, because I was rushing on 281 North in traffic every day after school to not be late for pickup. And I would run in and I was stressed. I'm like running in and I'm signing the paper and I'm like, okay, let's go. And, we'd get in the car and I'm like, hi. And he's just like, "You're not happy to see me." Oh. And of course I was happy to see my baby. But what he was picking up on was like, Mommy was stressed.
Yep.
And in that stage, I was doing things in a way that I wasn't really happy with them. And so I had to switch it up. I had to switch it up.
Yes.
And now he's like, "You're always happy. It's annoying." But it's true. When you are decisive about how you want to live your life, things do sort of shift.
Yes.
And open up. And I have to like give you flowers for recognizing that, because you are young. 28 is still young. Even if for modeling it's not considered young. But realizing that and not settling for things that are not satisfying to the soul. It's important. Yeah.
That's really important. I would not want her to live a life where she feels that she is unfulfilled. And she Layla, Robin is still really young, but Layla, that girl is sharp.
She's sharp. Oh, listen. When I asked her what her favorite thing to do at school was, and she said to learn and read, I was like, okay. And kindergarten, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
apple don't fall too far.
Yeah.
Her dad he's a very intelligent man, and I was always in the books, so like that's her. But like she'll pick up on the stress like that. Like she'll be like, "Mommy, are you okay?" And
you want to be able to say yes
breaths.
And mean it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, especially that part. So I'm like, okay, let's just. I gotta make sure that I really have to make sure that I'm good. Yes. Like I truly have to make sure, not just semi okay, but if I'm mentally or emotionally unwell, it will affect them. Yeah. It has affected them. I've seen it. So I really do my best to not let that be the case anymore. So I'm like, okay, deep breaths. I practice blowing bubbles with them. So I'm like, okay, guys, let's, get our little bubble ones and take a deep breath in and out. Okay, how big was your bubble?
Right. No, it sounds like something so simple, but we do have to stop and have those moments where we focus on little simple things. Yes. Like there's joy in the simple things.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
And also, I like little things like that because while it's also calming, it feeds the imagination.
Absolutely. And
that is very important to me.
Yes. So now, so you're back in school now.
Yes.
And you're in the middle of planning this production. Let's talk about the actual, we kind of touched on it earlier, but your actual production company. Will you say the name for us again?
Yes, Awanemielua Productions.
Okay.
Yes.
What is, I know you shared the meaning with us. Mm-hmm. What language is that? Is that Arabic? No.
I want to say it's Yoruba.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, got it.
Confirmed by Ms. Dupe at Tooties.
Okay.
She was like, say that name again. She was like, do you know what that means? Do you know the power that name has? And we're like, me, Terry, and Olivia, we're all looking at each other like.
So then where did the name come from? Where did you, It
was, so me, Terry, Olivia, and our friend Jade, we had like this little group chat, and we would just share like just encouraging things. We would talk about how we were feeling, and we're all models, so we were just chatting, and Terry actually, somebody said we need a name for our group, Destiny's Child, and stuff like that. We were just being silly, But then Terry just changed the name to Awanemielua, just that. and that was Beautiful Souls. So when, you know, full circle, me, Terry, and Olivia were talking about the production company, and we were like trying to think of names, and we're like, Terry was like, I don't know what we should call it. I don't know what we should call it. And he's already done it. And I was like, and I messaged back, and I was like, actually, Terry, you've already named us. Like, we already have a name. You gave it to us. And he was like, what are you talking about? Yes. But then I was like, Awana Mi Alua Productions. It's perfect because it encaptures who we are. Like we want to share, what is in our souls with other people. We want to give room for authentic creation. Like we want people to show up as themselves and feel like they're good enough and that they have a space here. So it's a creative production company. So like from fashion shows to art shows, hopefully in the future a play. But that's so
claim
I
it.
am
Claim it.
So I'm like, so we're like, we want to do it all.
Yeah,
like,
and you can, and you will.
Yes.
You will.
Absolutely. Oh yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about how you woke up at like 2 a.m, like, Kylan, I have an idea. That's literally me all the time. And Terry, between Terry and Olivia just won't answer because she's asleep. Terry is like, go to sleep. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't stop, you know? And once you start the creation process, like it just gives room for more. Yeah. And it'll overflow. And what I really hope to do is to have that overflow into the community so that way other people feel like they could do the same. Yes. Like we can create our own space. Mm-hmm. Like if we feel like avenues are closed to us, like there will be room. We will make room. Yes. So that is what our production company is about. Like the soul of our production company is connecting to other authentic souls, right. Allowing them to create in their authenticity, in their own way. So that's where we are right now.
You know, Tyler Perry said something, and I don't watch his movies, but he does say things that make sense sometimes, or frequently. I like to read interviews of people. I feel like you get a better sense of who a person is sometimes, mm-hmm. just, hearing it. But he said, if you don't have a seat at the table, you just build your own table. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people are so concerned about squeezing into places and
so
elbowing and fighting and...
Like, why would you do that to yourself? That's so uncomfortable. It's so much more fun to build the table.
Yes.
Like, it's fun. It's actually fun. And now there are moments where I'm just like...
Of course, yeah, because it's a lot of work.
Yes, it's a lot of work. But this creation process, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever, this is not what I imagined the peak to be for me as far as like my creative self, but like being able to just create without ceasing. Yeah. Like where the ideas are just flowing from me, where I'm connecting with photographers reaching out to shoot with me. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, do you have any ideas for a shoot? And I'm like, do I? Yes. Like, yes, I do. But like being in this space, it's beautiful. Yeah. It really is. So yes, we're building a table, and and it's open. Like, yes. We want people to come and sit with us. We don't want people to sit on the far side. We want you here. So
yes, I love that.
That's us.
And it kind of creates, I don't know what this game is called, but when in the 80s, I'm dating myself, but in the 80s, I remember it was a very common thing for people to have in their offices this little apparatus where it's like 4 little silver balls, and I don't know what that's called, yes. But I feel like that's what the creative process is. It's a kinetic energy. Yes. So once you put it in motion, yes. It's just going to continue and grow without cease. Yep. Like it literally will. And it may take you around some different corners and bends, and some things may be unexpected or, maybe harder than you expect, but it won't cease. Like it just continues to grow.
It might slow down, and it might even stop for a moment, but you can always be the catalyst.
Exactly.
Like you're the one who starts it. So once you choose to move that ball and you release it, then it's just back up again.
Right.
My mom used to have one of those in her office.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called, but like as a kid, I remember like every adult office I went to had that. And I was like, ooh, I want one of those. But yeah, I think of that often when I think about, creation and manifesting things you want to see. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the actual production that you have coming up,
Yes.
where it's going to be, if there's a theme, the
Yes.
date, the time, all of that, because we want the community to show up and support.
Yes. So it is the Feels Like Summer fashion show. It is all summer vibes. It is all good times. It is going to be held at the Veranda, which is actually
Oh, in Castle Hills.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
And I don't think it's the first fashion show that they've had there, but they did say it's the first one in a while.
Yes.
And so I was like, yes, like, and it's Terry actually brought it up, and he was like, we have to go check this place out, and I was like, this is perfect. It's beautiful. Yes. So we're very excited about it. It's going to be on Thursday, May 18th.
Okay.
And we're going to have a VIP cocktail hour that's going to have a dinner. We're going to have live artists. And I can't name drop yet, but
of course.
I'm so
very familiar with not being able to talk about things. It's fine.
I'm honestly like so excited. I'm so excited for our lineup. I know that a really prominent pastor here in town, his name is Courtney Beard. He's a Courtney. I've settled.
A man Courtney.
Boy. Yes, exactly. I was like, I've already settled that in my heart. But he's actually going to be our MC, and so this event's going to be on fire. But anyways, for the VIP, we're going to have a gift raffle. They're going to have a full dinner. It's going to be catered. The VIP gets free drinks. Well, one free drink. I gotta pay.
I was
for
like,
the
you
rest.
have to clarify because people will roll up.
They'll roll up, just one free drink, and then you'll get yellow for the rest.
Right.
And then we are going to have some vendors. That way, people can shop if they want. And then the fashion show is going to start. We had a few designers apply to showcase on our runway.
Right.
And we specifically selected designers who either haven't, like, either are newer coming up, or people who we don't see on the runway a whole lot. Yeah. And so we're very excited.
I applaud you for that.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to go with like names that everyone knows, because it kind of guarantees a crowd or guarantees people will be responsive. But you are creating your own lane and taking a chance. And young designers, new designers need that. Mm-hmm. They need that recognition and that validation and to be included. Thank you for doing that. Oh. You are, I have to give you some flowers. You are the epitome of the shift and the change that we need to see in our industry, which is really why I wanted to have you on. Oh, we have 5 minutes. Lovely. Thank you. Because as I said, I've been around a while and I've seen a lot. And you are the epitome of driving change. People talk about change a lot.
It's easy to talk about it.
People talk about having conversations, like they want to have a conversation about the conversation. Actually doing it is, you said earlier, you said, I am powerful, and you are. Like, you are the president who is driving change in our community. So I just want to say thank you. I really do. It's something that we've needed for a while, and it's just nice to see that more people are stepping up to that plate.
What's really interesting is how many people are behind us. Mm-hmm. Like that, I think that's been the most surprising element of it. For Olivia, Terry, and myself, like we'll be sitting and we're like, okay, we don't know, we may not know how to do things because, like I said, we're still kind of newer. We're newer to this. It's going to be our first full-on production. Yes. We helped produce a fashion show at the beginning of January, but this is ours. So we're like, who should we go to? And, you know, the people whose names will come up, we'll approach them and they're like, you're doing what? Like, yes, absolutely, yes. Like, we love this. Like, let me know if you need anything else. Let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah. Because a lot of people, this is something that a lot of people want, you know? And not a whole lot of people are moving in this direction. Right. Or people will, like, start production companies and still keep it, like, you know, closed off. And then that's not something I want to do. And I mean, you know, to each their own.
Of course.
You know, but, like, I'm like, okay, I want this production to be beautiful, and I want this to be something that everybody can enjoy. So like, please come, like anybody, if you have an idea, come to us and ask us how we can help, like bring it to life. Because that's what we're in the business of doing, you know, like creation. So
Yeah.
I'm just really, I'm blessed that we have this opportunity. Like, I know I speak in the we a whole lot. I can't speak for them.
No, but you move sort of as a family or as a unit.
Yeah.
And so
I think a family is very accurate.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, we're just really extremely grateful for this, for this opportunity to build this platform.
Yeah.
Like really, because that's what this is. It's just step one.
Right. Right. Yes. There's, what is that? Infinity and beyond. That's
Yes.
That's what I see.
Buzz Lightyear. Yes.
Only people with children would even get that reference. But I want to thank you because I know that you are very busy. So thank you for saying yes, first of all, because I was like stalking you down.
Thank you for asking me.
And, you know, just taking time out of your day to be with us. If people want to follow you and follow your work, where do they find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram or Facebook, kojo.the.model. For grammar freaks out there, the dot is a period. Yes, I know. And for our production company, at AE2_productions. AE2 is our abbreviated name. So you might hear us as Awana Mealua. You might hear us as AE2. Right. But that is where you can find us, AE2_productions.
Okay. And then one more time, just in case people didn't write it down or put it in their calendar, what is the date of the Feels Like Summer show?
Yes, Thursday, May 18th.
Okay. And what time?
At 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. 5:30 is when the doors open for VIP only. VIP only.
Yes. Get your VIP tickets.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see you continue to blossom and grow and to create. And thank you for sharing. I mean, I know your story is so much deeper, and there's so much more breadth and depth there, but, you know, we're limited to an hour. So just thank you for sharing what you have shared. Yeah. I know for a fact that someone will see this and be like, I'm powerful too.
Yes,
So.
that's my heart's goal.
Yes, yes. Ooh, and there's my stomach growling. So with that being said.
Mine has been growling the whole time. I can't even say anything. I've been like...
So with that being said, that concludes this edition of More Than Magic. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you again to Courtney for being here. And once again, please take a moment to like and share this video. VodPod Media is a locally owned media production company ran by Gylan Jackson. We have an amazing intern over there, Jaden, who's been wonderful. And you're going to see some really great things coming from this studio going forward. So please just, you know, like and follow and, you know, so you don't miss out.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Courtney, so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Yay.
It was so loud. Did you hear it?